All right, so we're gonna move on to the My Little Pony Deviation comic with Prince Blueblood. What is this? Essentially, what happens if in My Little Pony episodes 1 and 2, instead of Twilight Sparkle being the number one apprentice to Celestia and getting all of her training and being sent to Ponyville, what if Celestia instead decided to make Blueblood her apprentice and send him to Ponyville?
Before we even get to beyond the cover, the second page, we have AJ giving what we all know. It's true.
All right, well,
There's
let's
a
go
look
ahead and
that
move
we
on
all
here.
feel.
Now, of course, it's a little soliloquy. What really happened? This is what happened, but imagine if instead Celestia chose somebody else as a star pupil instead of Twilight Sparkle. And so we see that Celestia notices Twilight Sparkle blowing up the entire room. Her parents are now cactuses, and everybody is freaking out. You can see everything in there. Of course, suddenly she decides, wait a minute. Maybe she should choose somebody who actually needs help instead of a young prodigy that just caused the dragon to explode out of her roof. And she realizes,
And
wait,
Twilight fixes it.
I know he could use my help, and of course it is unfortunately our favorite annoyance, Prince Blueblood. So of course Prince Blueblood as a kid, as a foal, is obviously annoying and stupid. And Celestia jumps in and says, "You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take over. Prince Blueblood will now be my pupil." And of course, Prince Blueblood notices immediately, that sounds an awful lot like you want me to just do more work.
Oh dear lord.
Of course, I think even Prince Blueblood himself realizes this is not good because immediately after being deemed that he will be her personal protege, he quotes, "Well, that is just a terrible idea."
Huh. Self-aware humor.
Yeah.
Let's get some Deadpool.
So let's go ahead. We got the new quote unquote intro with My Little Pony used to wonder what friendship could be until I found the mirror and found it was me. Boring lectures, loved by none. I am a work of art, star of this song. But I digress, it's an easy feat, and magic helps me be elite. You have My Little Ponies.
My Little
Do,
Pony, My Little Pony,
do you
me.
know you're in my way? Seriously, back up. He actually pushes away the backup singers.
In all honesty, I don't know about you, but I would have killed him by now.
Yeah, DM12 had it right, from the mouth of babes.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we see plenty of imaging there of him being blue blood, and of course, Celestia regretting every decision.
Mm. It's as if she didn't think it through.
And of course, we finally come back with Prince Blueblood of age, with Princess Celestia. Celestia getting ready to probably kill him. But apparently, Blueblood is coming in because he's annoyed that he's going outside for the entire afternoon. That's too much sun, and it's delicate on his delicate skin and his snout. And there's no paths in the garden, and so much crap. You know, it's and of course the summer sun celebration is coming, and he has to pack on such short notice. How do you even go to a casual event in Ponyville? So she immediately takes the list that he had with trying to organize everything and says instead he needs to go to Ponyville for her and to oversee the celebration planning instead. Which he's really annoyed with because it means he loses his day spa and gets kicked out. Essentially, while Celestia is basically throwing him to Ponyville to get him out of her hair. And of course, her chancellor is more than happy to agree, giving Prince Blueblood his little furry his little furry death pet. As they continue flying on, groaning, moaning, complaining. Here's pictures. Oh, educational pictures. And he starts complaining to the guards that it's taking too long to get there, and he wants to go to Manhattan for shampoo and tapas. So much later, when it's finally dark because of all the crap that's been going on, they finally land him in front of the Ponyville Library.
Joy to see it, only to realize who's living in it now, and it hurt more.
Yeah. Of course, he demands that they put his luggage in the library. And while he's groaning and grumbling, Applejack comes up. Oh no! Thank goodness you're here. Somebody from Canterlot. And Bubble, what? Oh yeah. Honestly, I probably should have reread this. It's been a few months since I have. So Applejack comes up. Oh no, we got a crisis. Did the princess come and send you for help because I have a big problem. We have been overrun. And of course, Blueblood is wondering what the hell is going on in his own way of not caring a lick. So like, overrun with what? You know, what's simple enough? Come on, how could you be overrun with such simple tasks? Then Applejack points his head over to Nightmare Moon, who has come back to take away the sun, much to the chagrin of many. Of course, go ahead.
This is why we are all happy Twilight was the one that got sent.
Yes. Of course, Prince Blueblood is looking at the list like, what is this, performance piece? I don't know how well it's going to go for a Summer Sun celebration. And of course, Applejack is saying, no, this is not the Summer Sun celebration. There's a crazy magical moon mare that is trying to enslave us all. And of course, Blueblood finds this unfortunate. Of course, Applejack starts to see.
I don't understand the concept of enslave all.
Right. Of course, Applejack starts to see through the pompous exterior and realizes he has a pompous interior too. Of course, Blueblood tries to cover this up with, I totally sat here to help with that. I'm Celestia's right of Stellian. After all, I can deal with pretty sparkly pony monsters.
Pretty sparkling pony monsters. Alright, who wants to see him drawn and quartered?
Of course, so he hands over his fluffykins over to Applejack, and gets Nightmare Moon's attention. With Miss Scary Pony, immediately makes demands as such. Listen, sweetheart, I get it. You're like the dark. It's great for hiding flaws, but I'm just going to have to insist that you leave the sun and the moon stuff to the adults. All right? Now be a peach and get me a bubble tea. In all honesty, I gotta give him points for sheer balls.
Donkey kicked.
Of course, Nightmare Moon gets a little pissed off about this, knocking him clear across the entire town into a building. Of course, Applejack's like, you didn't do anything. Well, so you didn't do anything, and Prince Blueblood is, well, we'll just call him Blue at this point. Old Blue is like, well, usually telling people what to do works for me.
Blue, da-ba-dee, da-ba-dies. I hope it dies, hope it dies, hope it dies.
And of course, Nightmare Moon immediately kind of points out the exact thing that they all need to hear. The only thing that could possibly defeat me are the elements of harmony, and they're long gone. And while Applejack is holding up a book of the elements of harmony with a bookmark that says, read me. And of course, Blue here is discrediting everything, saying, no, the elements of harmony aren't real. She's making them up as a distraction. We need a plan. Okay, so Applejack is kind of with it at this point. She says, okay, Blueblood, tell me how I can help. All right, Let's do this. Here's everything we're going to need to save the day. And then Applejack immediately starts washing his dog, giving him iced down sparkling cider with cupcakes, and painting a picture of him as he dresses his dog and giving him a hoofacure.
And what does this accomplish? Nothing!
No, it accomplishes something. As after it's all finished, Applejack makes the obvious question, are we going to defeat the Nightmare Pony? And Blue immediately is like, oh, we're still on that? Whatever. So, yeah, Prince Blueblood apparently just wanted somebody to lavish him with attention. And Applejack finally catches on that he's a freaking idiot. And finally ditches him to go and try to get some actual help. And of course she has to bite her tongue from trying to call him names of things. So Prince Blueblood immediately notices another person running by. Oh, it's Fluttershy. And of course he immediately goes into flirtation mode. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are losing their mind at this point. Of course, Fluttershy is trying to get animals to safety. And of course, he says, he tries to continue to flirt with Fluttershy, showing off his pedigree dog called Bunny. Of course, Fluttershy is a little distracted to the fact that there's a maniac on the loose, and now that it's starting to blow up nearby buildings while she's trying to save animals. Of course, Blueblood uncharacteristically stands up, declaring that he will protect him. Fluttershy is ever so grateful until he picks up all of the animals and uses them as a shield, including his own dog. So Blueblood immediately kind of probably pisses off Fluttershy and so many other people by using a literal animal shield. And the chat room is wishing that we would finish this up already because it's so painful. Don't worry, yeah. We're trying to get through this as quickly as we can, and believe me, you will want to see the ending. Alright. So she immediately jumps onto him, is like, what's wrong with you? Have you never heard of the golden rule to treat others as you want to be treated? And it's like, and Blueblood, of course, thinks this is utterly ridiculous. How in the world could I protect others when I need them to protect me? And of course, Fluttershy realizes that Blueblood is a monster and a horrible, horrible person. Bunny is no longer happy with Blueblood. We obviously won't see this going well. Of course, Blueblood immediately points out, no, Nightmare Moon is the monster. He's just a jackass.
True.
So while more lasers are going on and Ponyville is still being destroyed by Nightmare Moon lasers, Blueblood suddenly notices Rarity. So what is
no.
So he immediately runs up to her. Hello, I saw you from across the mayhem. I am Prince Blueblood, here to rescue you. Of course, Rarity falls for it. And of course, Bunny apparently is having fun with it too. He takes his scarf, putting it around her, which is kind of surprising considering that this is actually a little bit more taste that he gave previous times. Of course, he continues to flirt with her while we gotta remind everybody, Nightmare Moon is attacking the town. Half the buildings are being blown up and lasers being fired, and he is flirting with a pony.
And they said that this show is for little girls. No, this scenario is when we go real.
No, here's when it real goes real. So, Rarity actually has found a special cloth that she wove that repels magics. She's hoping that if she can get a Pegasus to fly up and wrap it around Nightmare Moon, it may contain her so that she can be defeated and Ponyville can be saved.
Blueblood do? Makes a scarf out of it.
And of course, Blueblood actually is like, I've been working on this whole Nightmare Moon thing for an hour and a half. Trust me, it's just not been working out. But you know what? Celestia gave me another task to make friend. And of course, Nightmare Moon has decided to devolve into even more horrible acts of evil, stealing candy from babies.
Really?
Yes. Of course, the Pegasus are starting to fly up against Nightmare Moon to try to stop her. And of course, Blueblood doesn't want anything to do with it. Verity's like, come on, we can go help her. Let's go help. And of course, Blueblood's like, wait, hold on. I want my scarf back. And takes the scarf back from Rarity. And of course, he wraps around the scarf and he's like, wait a minute, that cloth you said there is magic repelling? I'm actually going to need to borrow that. And Rarity hands it over, annoyed. And are you actually going to help? And so what happens instead is Blueblood wraps it around his body and starts to worm his way over to Rainbow Dash. With Rarity looking at him, annoyed and dejected. Let's see. And of course, he starts to talk to Rainbow Dash now, because why not? Rainbow Dash pleading, we need eyes on the ground. We need somebody to help us here. And of course, Blueblood immediately denounces that, saying he's no good. He can't do that crap. And Rainbow Dash, quick to point out, you're the only idiot down there that can guide us, because we're trying to fly over this insane, crazy thing. Help us out here a little. So he finally goes, well, I guess I can delegate. I mean, it's minimal effort. It's pretty simple. And of course, the Pegasus immediately start to fly around under the direction of Rainbow Dash and Blueblood, kind of. Wrapping Nightmare Moon in a force of wind. So I gotta give him 2 points for credit. So of course, Blueblood is sitting there trying to direct him. Fly there, pick up, green one little to the left, little to the right, yada yada, etc., so on and so forth. Of course, Nightmare Moon is arguing Gil won't be able to keep it up. Of course, Nightmare Moon keeps directing him, and Rainbow Dash says the magic words, thanks friend, which Blueblood thinks, hooray, we finally did something the princess wanted, and she can't be mad about all of this if we actually managed to make a friend. And Blueblood immediately shouts down to Rainbow Dash, hurry, I need you, this is urgent. And Rainbow Dash comes down wondering what in the world is so urgent. Because they need to keep up there in order to keep the shield. And so Blueblood immediately says, oh, no worries, it's nothing that dire. We just need you to sign this note stating that you are officially my friend so I can send it to Auntie Celestia.
For the love of Pete, Blueblood, you idiot, you mother effing idiot.
Because he wants to cover all his bases and make sure that he has 100% proof that he actually has a friend and not lying to Princess Celestia. Rainbow Dash, of course, gets really annoyed. And Nightmare Moon gets free.
And he done fucked it up again.
Of course, he doesn't care because he's still protected by the cloth. And he is stating to her, yeah, you still haven't signed my paper. While Rainbow Dash is obviously really pissed that her plan has now broken down and Nightmare Moon is now free again to cause more damage. So Nightmare Moon does more damage with more vines coming out of the ground. Boy, Ponyville is in a right state at this point.
Not the Plunder Seed? I think it's the Plunder Seed.
It might be.
It is the Plunder Seed.
So Applejack is, let's see. So everybody gets captured by the Plunder Seed. Applejack is, you know what? Is like, if I'm about to get destroyed, can at least not get destroyed with his goddamn asshole. Of course, Blueblood thinks she's being a little too mean. Fluttershy, Rarity, Rainbow Dash, all of them were pretty much pissed, except Pinkie Pie, who apparently was out of nowhere and gets wrapped up in the vines.
Of course, she appears and disappears.
Of course, Pinkie Pie immediately gets Nightmare Moon's attention and asks a simple question. How do you organize a party in space? Ugh. Sorry, I had something in my throat there.
Joke?
The joke? You plan it! Of course, Blueblood finds the joke finds the joke a little annoying. Calling it a terrible joke,
Human.
and of course, Pinkie Pie gets a little annoyed. Like, wait. He obviously says it's a terrible joke, and of course, breaking the fourth wall in the process, which Pinkie Pie gets annoyed because that's her bit. And unfortunately, Blueblood says the magical bad words of calling Pinkie Pie a party pooper. Of course, Pinkie Pie gets real pissed. And so does Nightmare Moon, that she's getting really annoyed that her task of taking over Ponyville keeps not getting the proper attention because it's kind of getting distracted. And of course, Pinkie Pie gets more than a little pissed at this, telling Nightmare Moon to stick a cake in it. Of course, that gives the appropriate reaction to Nightmare Moon of being completely shocked at being talked like that. Of course, Pinkie Pie is giving Blueblood the riot act of how she was trying to break the tension, everything is scary and horrible, and she's just trying to lighten up things a little bit so it's not so horrible. Blueblood calls her silly. She says it outright. Of course it's silly. She's goddamn Pinkie Pie, motherfucker. And Blueblood immediately
phrasing, but pretty close.
And Blueblood is like, you know what? This whole town has been really rude. And of course, everybody gets pissed. Says, you're the one being rude. Literally, you stole the fabric. You've ignored our pleas. You basically are doing everything possible not to help us, except actually helping us. And that Blueblood is actually a worse nightmare than Nightmare Moon. Which actually catches Nightmare Moon off guard. And so all of them finally laid down the law. You wasted their time. You were hurting animals. You stole fabric, and of course, and that it made him look pasty, which unfortunately was the worst insult of humanity to him. And the fact that he's completely indifferent, indisposed, ignoring, and of course Nightmare Moon has to point out that none of them were winning regardless, but Blueblood of course is saying, you know what, whatever, I don't care. Celestia sent me here, I'm just, I was just whatever, I'm just being me, whatever, I don't care, whatever. He's being Blueblood. Now Blueblood actually turns his attention to Nightmare Moon. Whereas, like, let's see, Of course, he's talking about how Nightmare Moon peaked early, doing all this takeover crap, and, whatever. Let's see, it's boring that she's basically not following the prophecy, that she's just trying to take over a town. Even Nightmare Moon is starting to find them very unpleasant and annoying. And of course, Rarity immediately points out that don't do that. You're as bad as he is. And of course, Nightmare Moon immediately hates that because she basically got compared to the worst asshole in the history of Equestria. Of course, Blueblood doesn't care. He still tries to flirt with Rarity. And
the remaining 5 all gang up on him and are like, we are so beating you after this.
Yep. So they all gang up on him, finally laying it down. Liar, inconsiderate, greedy, unkind. And that Nightmare Moon is also a liar, inconsiderate, greedy, unkind. And of course, it's freaking Nightmare Moon out that she's being compared to an asshole. And she just wanted people to like her, to make night beautiful, and this is not what she wanted at all. Of course, they start to come to grips with her, telling her, the nights are plenty. People like it. They think the stars are diamonds. Everybody loves them anyway, and of course, they start to reach Nightmare Moon and give her a little bit of happiness and letting her know that the night is appreciated and loved. She starts to come down off of it. Of course, Blue Blood only cares about Bunny, who is obviously very destroyed by the vines. And and asks if they're already done because he's getting very bored of this whole conversation and everything. They ask they ask Nightmare Moon a little favor, and they'll say, "We'll be your friends forever if you just do us this one thing." And they knock Blue Blood to the moon, along with Nightmare Moon's helmet. So Blue Blood picks up the helmet, starts to put it on, and realizes that it would destroy his hair and be utterly tacky. And asks his dog for some bubble tea. Of course, Alicia's sitting there in Cadgelot wondering how he's doing in Ponyville. If the trip will be good for Blue Blood. And of course, the Chancellor is like, "You're not going to believe who just showed up into your throne room apologizing for her actions." Later, Prince Blueblood is sitting on the moon, bored, stiff, nothing to do. Of course, if nobody's there to boss him around, he's the only one in charge. And he could make this into a vast utopia of his wildest dreams. Of course, the first thing he demands is a bubble tea stand. Seriously, what's with this guy in bubble tea?
Apparently it's hip.
Apparently. So he has Fluffy build a bubble tea. Bunny build a bubble tea stand. And then a quilt and sofa outlet. And then a castle. And a coffee shop. And an ascot boutique. And another bubble tea stand in case the other one is busy. And a gastropub. And a hoofacor salon. And an elegant gazebo. Which, I gotta give it to him. A dog that could do all of that is definitely one hell of a pedigree.
It's such a terrible thing for the dog. It's just...
Yeah.
It's cruel and unusual punishment.
Of course, the dog is really pissed, though.
Being a pet to him.
Of course, the dog is pissed the entire time, but he did have a secret plan with the stalls, writing out "help" in the middle of the moon, with Celestia suddenly noticing a "help" actually being written on said moon. Of course, Prince Blueblood is talking to rocks, calling them their loyal subjects. And even talking to his rock kingdom while Celestia apparently finally flies down to see what in the world is going on. And she sees a Prince Blueblood essentially... Oh my god, basically being freaking Trump. And I quote, "Loyal adorers, we're here today for me to tell you that I do know about friendship. Really, every pony else is a friendship disaster. Every pony is impressed by me, like, all the time."
Celestia realized she done fucked up.
Yeah. And, of course, a little bit more information about the deviation itself. Script-to-page process, little inkings of everything. But yeah, a lot of fun stuff there. And the comic is completely stupid, but it is hilariously stupid. I glossed over a lot of the stuff here, but I really recommend checking it out if you haven't yet. Buy it digitally, or you can find physical copies of it. But it is a lot of fun. It is really a great one-off deviation.
And amazingly, it does show that Twilight is not the linchpin.
No, well, it's a nice to see that Twilight isn't a linchpin, and that at least in the comic artist eyes, there was going to be a way to solve the Nightmare Moon crisis. But we also got to remember this is a what-if scenario if Twilight Sparkle did not go to Ponyville, not if she didn't get her key mark by way of Rainboom, which obviously that was addressed in another episode, and we're going to leave that alone because we can get into a lot of show theory, which can get really messy.